Alright, so I was playing on the DS the other day. My son was next to me watching me play, and I ended up finishing a game. And I looked over at my son and I said, "Hey, that's the 8th game in the series I've beaten." He's like, "Wow, how did you beat so many games in the series?" And, it got me to thinking, what other series have I beaten a lot of games in? Because there are a lot of series that are, some of my favorites or I really like a lot, but there is only a few games in the series. Like the Xeno series, I love that one. It's got the Xenogears, the 3 Xenosagas, and Xenoblade. But, that's it. There is a new one coming later on, but that's it. It's a very small series. And, then there's stuff like Grandia and Lunar. There's only a handful of games in between those two series. So, it works out where not necessarily your favorite series is the one you play the most. And I thought it would make an interesting discussion video, so I'm just going to do the top 3 series I've beat the most games in. So, this one, number 3, is Sonic the Hedgehog. I've finished 8 games in the series. 1, 2, 3, Knuckles, Spinball, and then later on I ended up putting the series down until the Game Boy Advance came out and they had Sonic Advance. Played through that one, loved it a lot. It's a really underrated game in my opinion. Then I played, I think it's called Pocket Adventure on the Neo Geo Pocket Color. I played it through an emulator, and that one was pretty good. It's pretty much like Sonic 2 in a portable form. And then I played through Sonic Rush recently. That was the game I was playing while my son was watching. And that game is pretty awesome as well. I might do a review on that. I just have to figure out how to capture the footage because it's dual screen and it's really hard on this ginormous DS to capture the footage, so it might be like a talkie review. Number 2, I beat 10 games in the series, and I love this series from the first time I saw it way back on the NES, and that is Castlevania. This series, I've finished the original Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge on the Game Boy. I think it's just the regular Game Boy. Pretty good game. And then, of course, Super Castlevania 4, Rondo of Blood, Symphony of the Night, which was actually the first game. I made it all the way through, and then I went back and played other ones. This one, along with the 2 other Game Boy Advance games, Castlevania Chronicles on the PlayStation, Portrait of Ruin on the DS, and I think that's 10. Also finished the remade version of Rondo of Blood in the Dracula X Chronicles. For the most part, that's pretty much the same game as Rondo of Blood, so not going to count it. But yeah, I've also beat Symphony of the Night on 360, Xbox Live Arcade or whatever, and the PSN download. So yeah, I love this series a lot. It's actually my favorite series of all time. And I do intend to go back and beat a lot of the games. Big one I want to finish is Castlevania 3 on the NES. It is really, really tough though. So I don't know when I'm going to do that. And then I want to do the other 2 DS games. I used to own them. I played a little bit of Dawn of Sorrow. It was a really good game. I didn't care for the touchscreen mechanic too much, but otherwise it was excellent. And then Order of Ecclesia, I heard that game was tough as nails, but really good. And I had it, I just never got around to playing it. Okay, and the last one here, it's I've beaten 15 games in the series, and it's actually quite an achievement because the games are pretty long. But it also saddens me as well. I'll tell you about that in a minute. And that is Final Fantasy. Excuse me. So, I first discovered the series on the Parasite Eve demo disc. They have a movie for Final Fantasy VIII on there. And that started to get me excited for the game a little bit. And, the magazines were hyping the hell out of that game. And, played Final Fantasy VIII, loved it. Went out and got 7, Tactics, 9, and then, the rest of the PlayStation collection. And then, I just started buying like any Final Fantasy game I could get my hands on. So this series, I actually beat Final Fantasy 1 through 10, 10-2. I just burped in my mouth, or threw up in my mouth a little bit. Final Fantasy 12, Tactics, Tactics Advance, and Dissidia. And, you know, typically the games are between 40 to 60 hours, so that's a lot of game time spent on the series. Not my favorite RPG series, because I do love, you know, the Chrono games and Xeno and Lunar, Grandia, all that kind of stuff. But it is an excellent series, and I think Final Fantasy 4 through 10 is kind of a stretch of greatness that may never be surpassed in the JRPG world. The thing that does sadden me about this, though, is there's nothing else in the series I really want to play. You know, there's Mystic Quest. Yeah. There's Final Fantasy 11 and 14, both online games. I'm not into those at all. You know, 15 just looks boring as hell. 13, all 13 games look boring as hell. And, you know, I played a little bit of Crystal Chronicles, wasn't my thing at all. Played a little bit of Tactics Advance 2. It looked to be just the same as the original Tactics Advance, which I didn't really care for that game. You know, what else is there? There's Crisis Core. Well, not a huge fan of Final Fantasy 7, so... And I think it's kind of an action RPG with some weird, like, slot... Like, you know, like Tifa's slot attack in the her limit break in Final Fantasy 7. There's something with that, with the battle system. But it doesn't sound interesting at all. And then, you know, there's that shooter with Vincent Valentine. Again, not really excited about that one. I guess the one that I would be most excited about, and that would be Kingdom Hearts, and it's not really even a Final Fantasy game. And you know, I played the first one and I wasn't even really too crazy about it, so that's pretty much it for Final Fantasy. I think there's on the Game Boy, I think there's a Final Fantasy Legend. I think that one's supposed to be pretty good. Haven't played it yet. I may get around to that, but other than that, there's really nothing in the series I want to play. So, yeah, that's it. I'd be really interested in hearing what your what series you guys have played the most games in and finished. If you want, you know, leave a comment down below. You could also do a video response. You know, just do your video and then PM me the link, and I'll dig through the 17 layers to get to my inbox, and you know, I'll watch it there. Otherwise, you can just post a link in the comment section down below. But yeah, that'll do it. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.